My name is James Maness. I'm the Mount Juliet Vice Mayor. Just wanted to jump on here. I'm actually got more letters than I could respond to, or more notes, I should say. And just wanted to jump on here and kind of clear up some intentions I think that were put out by, I'll say a video at least early, or not a video, but a letter that was put out earlier this week. And just wanted to address those and see what I could if I could answer any questions. I also have be joining us by phone our Mount Juliet city manager here. He'll be joining us as well here in just a moment. All right, let's bring Mr. Martin here on it. He is, I guess the right word would be the author of the letter, and I think between the two of us, we can clear up some of the concern that maybe people have or over the letter, what the intention was. Mr. Martin, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Kenny Martin, and I'm the city manager for the city of Mount Juliet, Tennessee.
All right. And yesterday, I guess I'll just to start off, I was on a conference call with what I think several of the people from the business community around here, and some of the concerns were being expressed. And I know you had heard some of the things too, Mr. Martin, that were being expressed about rumors that the city of Mount Juliet was going to shut down the businesses that are operating inside the city. And I think at the urging of some of the members, you'd kind of penned a note there to try to squash the rumors, but I don't think everybody got the full context of the message, that it was in response to rumors that Mount Juliet was going to force the closing of businesses.
You're absolutely right, Vice Mayor, and I apologize for any miscommunication from that letter. Early yesterday morning, our chamber director and also one of our elected members had asked me if I could draft a letter and then get that reviewed by, or send to our commission for review, and then get it out. And the reason it came about is that our chamber director, a lot of businesses were calling. They were concerned that we were going to shut down every business in Mount Juliet. And we were basically trying to send a letter that's unifying. Our poor city's been through a lot. Our citizens have been through a lot the last several weeks. So the intent of the letter was to put a letter out advising folks that we weren't going to shut down our business community, and that we also wanted to praise them for their unification and their can-do spirit of teamwork, and I guess you'd say being united. I've worked for the city 30 years, and I was absolutely blown away by that. So drafted the letter, got it out there, and then shortly after that, we started receiving some feedback, some negative feedback, which is totally understandable. And again, I apologize for that. That was not the intent. Our intent was to basically clarify, unify, and lift people up and love on them, brag on them for what they had done the last several weeks. Our city's been through a lot since December, and that was the intent of it. And unfortunately, it looks like we missed our intended goal.
Yeah, I know. I know one of the questions on there that I get is, my message has been, hey, stay home, keep your social distancing, follow the CDC guidelines. Of course, remember those that are immune compromised out there. And I mean, even if you're a younger individual and you say my odds are great, I may not even show symptoms or whatever, you can still be a carrier and pass that on to somebody else. So I think the message, and I think one thing I would encourage people to do is to look at the entirety of the message that the city's put out, not just the single letter. And I'll be the first to admit that there would be a lot better ways to have phrased that messaging in that thing, and a lot more clear about. I know one of the things that was heavily criticized was keep doing what you're doing. It's my belief that your intention was, when you say keep doing what you're doing, you were referring to keep following the CDC guidelines.
That's absolutely right. That, and also keep supporting one another, loving one another, lifting each other up. With the tornado, there's been a lot of folks out that's been volunteering to help people with their homes and debris removal and prayers and so on. And so that, you're right, that phrase probably could have been differently stated and worded. But that was the intent of it exactly. Just keep doing what everybody's been doing. It's not a day goes by that we don't talk to countless people, including businesses. We've been encouraging them to shut down their dining rooms and to take curbside delivery and drive-through service only. But there's some businesses I'm sure that can't do that. But that has been something that the city's been encouraging folks to do, so much so that we shuttered all of our facilities, and we've been operating mainly through text, email, and phone, of course, and that's worked quite well.
And I know the city's put out some guidelines for the way we're going to behave. We're going to behave doing business. The planning commission has been canceled. The Monday Mount Juliet Board of Commissioners meeting has been canceled as well. I know the governor has been working on an executive order that's out now to kind of lay out what we can do going forward for as electronic meetings, which is important for us because there's not a lot the city can do in terms of spending money, responding to stuff without the Board of Commissioners either voting to authorize that. We have some powers under emergency operations, but it's clearly not the way to run a city. And, quite frankly, we don't know how long we'll be in this situation, and really no one does.
That's exactly right. And what the governor's done with his executive orders give our elected body, in particular, an opportunity to work with staff to make sure that our city is able to be effective and to operate efficiently, which we are doing. We operate a little differently, as we should be, but that will enable us to conduct city business through our elected body through videoing rather than actual one-on-one contact.
Yeah, and it's one of the things too, and I think it also begs the question. I saw some emails coming through yesterday on this: is what can the city do in terms of forcing a business to close? And the message has been follow the guidelines put out by the CDC, maintain that distancing on it. But when people bring up examples of, hey, I see people in the dining rooms, I see this, I see people visiting this kind of business here, and people draw the conclusion that that's not in compliance with the guidelines. What is the city's actual authority based on the email that you got as far as forcing a business to close if the city wanted to shut the businesses down? What is the authority of the city to do so?
That's a great question, Vice Mayor. And we have been discouraging the restaurants, if they could, to just do the curbside and not have in-house dining. And but we don't have any authority as a city. Our mayor doesn't have that. Our elected body doesn't have that, and I don't have that as the city manager. That would have to come from the governor of the state of Tennessee. And so we're strongly encouraging that, of course, but we just don't have that authority.
Yeah, and that's one of the key things. And of course, I get to ask the question, then why even send the letter? And of course, that's in response to the rumors. And let's face it too, we've got a lot of businesses out there that are struggling going through this process. And one of the themes that I heard on this thing here is that we're surviving through takeout, delivery, and in some cases drive-through. And why would the city shut that down? That's something that, from most of the guidelines out there I see that are agreed upon, those are kind of safe ways. I don't know the right word, maybe feed yourself in this time period, because we can't limit people's access to food, obviously. But at the same time, we have to encourage people to be responsible going forward in this thing. So I guess just maybe if you want to just reiterate what the message that's trying to be conveyed here in that letter.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Vice Mayor, and everything you just said. The intent of the letter was to calm fears that we were starting to get at City Hall in regards to shuttering all businesses. In other words, just a total lockdown. And that was the intent of the letter. And then to also elaborate further about the unified spirit that we've seen in our community for people to continue to do that, but also to follow the stringent guidelines set forth by the CDC. Knowing we didn't have the authority, we were trying to set people's minds at ease, because I could only imagine the fear that would have been had the city just said, you can't go anywhere, like grocery stores, your essential services, and those will not be shut down. And I don't want to speak for the governor, but I would not think the governor would even do such a thing. But that was the intent of the letter. And it's apparent that my draft of the letter didn't have the verbiage maybe that it should have, or has been as clear as I'd intended for it to be. But and I hate that. It hurts my heart that it may have upset some people and create some unnecessary stress and anguish for some people. And you and I were talking, as a matter of fact, early this morning, probably about 2 a.m. And I know you feel exactly the same way, and I know our elected body and staff does.
I don't know if I should admit being up at 2 a.m. on the phone but
Yes, exactly. But I know your
that's
heart, and I know how much you care, and our commission cares, and I care, and it really bothered me, and I know it bothered a lot of other people, and that's probably what bothers me the most. But we won't be shuttering any businesses if the governor makes a decision of then of course we'll have to follow the governor's directives. But as far as the city, that's what we were trying to do. We're simply realized that our city had been through so much, and that there was some fear out there that we start to hear that shut businesses down. And no, we would not shut businesses down. And if there was any changes, that would be just for dine-in and things of that nature. I would not think that would have any impact whatsoever on your essential businesses. And so that was our intent of the letter, and it's apparent that we missed our desired goal and intent with that letter. And I appreciate this opportunity to hopefully get the message that was intended in the letter out there. And sometimes you think you're a good wordsmith, and you've hit all your points in your letter, only to find out later that you fell short of your desired intention and goal.
well, I think it answered the question: will the city force shutdowns? Which is no, but I think too the intention is people were thinking that at the same time we were just saying ignore what's going on, ignore the virus, and just keep on doing business as usual, meaning life before I guess pandemic. But again, that's definitely not the intended message. And I just say again, stress that everyone has to do their part to follow those guidelines, maintain the social distancing. I fortunately work for a company where they've shut the building. We're all working from home, and I'm fortunate enough to have a job to be able to do that, be able to work from home and be just as productive from either my desk or my recliner or wherever, depending on what time of the day it is when I'm working, and get the same productivity as I could in the office. I'm fortunate enough, not everybody's in that situation. So there's understanding there's also people out here that are being impacted, their jobs, their layoffs. And then again, we've got right the opposite. We've got some people that work in the healthcare community and they're swamped right now. They're buried. So we have to keep all of these groups in mind. The people that are being disadvantaged by this, the people that are being stressed, the people that are being overworked. We have to keep them. We have to remember them in our prayers. And of course, we have to, whether we're based on our age or health, statistically more or less likely to be impacted by this. Personally, we also have to remember our neighbors, our grandparents, the elderly around us, those that are immune compromised. And we can't, unfortunately, at this time here, I mean, you cannot exist in a bubble out here. You really run the risk. We don't know to what degree this is going to impact our city or community or even our nation, but we have to take precautions that are necessary to do it. But at the same time, we have to take reasonable precautions too, that we don't overburden any one group on this thing. The important thing is we all get out of this thing, with our health, and obviously that we minimize the impact of this thing. I don't want to spread fear either, but at the same time, there's the reason we don't go play on the interstate. And it's because we have a healthy fear of what could happen if we do. And we do need a healthy fear and respect and operate in wisdom in this. But at the same time, we don't want to put information out that's false or incorrect, but we do want to keep the city involved. We do want to keep information going out. And, my name was on the letter, so I feel a responsibility to try to clear up the message. And I know that's your heart as well in this, and I just wanted to bring you on here, and I want to thank you for your time for coming on here.
Vice Mayor, I want to thank you for doing this. Like I said, it's something that's ate at me since I found out that there was some negative impact coming as a result of it. And again, I apologize to folks because that hurts my heart, because I don't want that for anybody. We're all going through this together. And as human beings, none of us that I know of that in my lifetime, I've never dealt with anything like this. And I don't have the answers. And I like to give comfort to my son and my grandkids and to my wife and people that I work with. And so the letter was meant to be encouraging and uplifting, and it just came across as not intended. And again, I apologize for that. And if you could go back and turn back time and undo it, I would do it, because it probably would have been better if it hadn't gotten sent. But the intent was definitely genuine. But what you said is about public safety is most important. We put our citizens first. We know there's still a lot of folks that are having to get out to go to the grocery store and doctor's offices and pharmacy and other places for their essential goods. And I totally get that. And I encourage people, as our city does and as you do as well, to go through drive-throughs or call in and support these small businesses by doing the curbside pickup. But I strongly discourage anybody from going in and actually partaking in a meal. I mean, it's if you choose to do that, that's upon you. But that is not something the city is supportive of, and probably should have made that a little bit clearer in the message that we put out yesterday. So our citizens are our most important asset.
Yeah, that is so true. The most important thing is the health and welfare of our citizens here, and I take that very very seriously, that concern. Also, getting the correct message out is just a serious point to me as too. But this letter may not have hit its target and may not have conveyed the exact communication that we wanted in it. But at the same time, I just encourage people to look at the totality of the message that's come out of the city. And again, just stressing those guidelines, the social distancing, everyone doing their part on this. But I'm going to look over here and see if we've got any questions right now, that if anybody's posed, or if not, see if we can answer them. I don't see any. Well, maybe we answered all the questions this time.
Well, and I hope we did. And I want to thank you again, Vice Mayor, for being proactive, helping get the message that was intended, and that keep doing what you're doing thing. That was continue to prayer, keep following CDC guidelines, keep keeping your social distances, staying at home. I mean, the best thing you could do in reality is stay at home unless you absolutely have to get out. Unless you just have to get out, stay home and practice those CDC guidelines.
Yeah, I mean, it's really one of those things that, if it turns out by some twist of fate that all this isn't needed to this degree, I mean, what have you really damaged yourself, as long as you're not injuring, far as getting out and doing your job or whatever. Other than most of our activities we can do at home, people can watch us on Facebook here, try to talk back a letter that that we maybe should have waited a little longer on sending, but at the same time, I would just encourage people just to think of their others, think of their neighbors, and if you're not a group that's at risk, just remember those that are immune compromised. That would be the one thing that I would stress to everybody out there. We've all got plenty of time if we take the appropriate measures to go back there and make it up. And it's like that. It's like the market. I believe the markets are going to come back. I believe the jobs are going to be there when this is over for people. I mean, we don't say Mount Juliet strong for no reason at all. We say it because we mean it. I believe the local economy will bounce back from this. I just want to minimize the impact as we go through this. I want to minimize the impact on people's health as well as we go through this. And still don't see. Actually, I do got 2 comments here. It says, "Hi, James, and thanks." Well, you're welcome. Don't see anything else right now, but if you do, leave it in the comments. I'll settle down here probably in a few hours after eat dinner and go through the comments, maybe respond to anything we see out there. Mr. Martin, again, just want to thank you for taking the time here on a Saturday evening to jump on here and do this.
No, absolutely. And again, apologize for the letter and the way that it came across. Our intent was good, and appreciate having this opportunity to hopefully get out there and put the correct message and what the intent was out there. And I really do appreciate you, and I'll continue to pray for our community and our country. And you're right, we'll get through this. None of us have ever been through anything like this before, so none of us are definitely experts at it. But again, we want to make sure we're putting our citizens first, and that was really the intent of the letter, and it just didn't come across that way.
Well, very well. Again, thank you, and I don't see any other comments on here, so just go ahead and end this video.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks everyone for joining us.